Good morning. This is WKRK in Murphy, North Carolina, 105.5 FM, 1320 AM, cable TV channel 25, and worldwide we're at country.am. Fridays at 11:05, we set aside to have Sheriff Palmer join us from the Cherokee County Sheriff's Office to tell us about what's going on in the world of public safety and law enforcement, and also events that are going on around the area that people may benefit from. Good morning.
It's good to be here this morning.
Good to be here as well.
Glad to see you back from your singing convention.
Don't be surprised if I take a nap during your show.
I told Tim, I said I never did hear you sing anything during the week, so I didn't know if he was up there singing or just watching people sing or what he was doing. So.
I don't think that they would even allow me close to that stage.
So you don't think you'd qualify for the event?
I don't think I would qualify. Yeah. We should have had you up there singing.
Well, I try. I'll put it that way.
All right. It was a good time. I'm glad to be back
I don't
home.
think a lot of people say I'm a good singer, but I don't particularly like to hear myself sing. I do like convention type singing though. I like quartet harmonies and those type of things, but I never did like doing solos. I do them from time to time, but I never do really like doing that.
I've heard myself sing, and no one's ever told me that I sound good when I sing. So I'll take that as a hint. That
Well, you don't even tell yourself you sound good?
no, not even to myself. Not even, people say you sound really good when you sing in the shower.
Right.
I don't.
Okay.
No. It's just one of those things that.
Well, I thought, like American Idol, you have some of these people that come up that can't sing, but they really think they're good singers.
Yeah. I just don't get that.
Right. I don't either.
I'll just accept the truth, and I'll stick with talking for a living.
Well, it is good to have you back.
Thanks. It's good to be back.
Yeah, I saw where you had posted last night that you were still up there, and I thought, is he going to stand me up for the radio show tomorrow? I started texting you last night, but I didn't. So I thought he'll make it.
I drove all the way back last night, actually this morning at 4:00, just so I could be here this morning and doing this show.
I do appreciate it. I
enjoyed it as well.
I have a good time here on Fridays. Couple quick things, or one quick thing I want to mention too is that. There is a letter. I know we spend a lot of time talking about scams and trying to get people to be cautious and be careful and not give pertinent information over the phones and those type of things. There is a letter that's being sent to seniors that is legitimate, though. And I need to announce that in case you receive one of these letters, that you know that it is a legitimate letter. It comes from a group called Benefits Data Trust. And what it is, it's a letter that is sent to seniors who are 60 years of age or older, and it's seniors who are receiving Medicaid but are not on the nutrition services. If you are receiving Medicaid but you're not on nutrition services or getting help with that, you may receive one of these letters. And what these letters are for is they're designed as an outreach program to try to get seniors to apply for the nutrition services. And so if you receive one of these letters, they're going to want you, they have a number for you to call and want you to call this number. And this number, they will ask you some pertinent information. They'll ask you like your name and date of birth, social security number, and all these things that you typically wouldn't tell people over the telephone. But I just want to let the seniors that's listening know that if you do get one of these letters, it is an outreach program trying to get you on nutrition services to help you be able to get the nutrition and things you need for the day. Nutrition services, in case you're wondering what that is, it was previously called food stamps. They don't call it that anymore, but it's now called nutrition services. And so if you receive this letter, it is okay to call and it is okay to give that information for that. But as much awareness as we try to do to try to get people not to give information and not to give things over the phone and all that, I think it's brought some confusion to some people as to whether I should do this or not do this.
Yeah, it is confusion, especially when we have things like the Equifax data breach that affects half of America with all this information going out. And then I just shared a story, I think it was last night, about people using credit cards at Sonic restaurants. A lot of those people may have had compromises there. So it's really hard to know what's legit and what's not.
It is.
And this letter is from what company again?
It's Benefits Data Trust.
Benefits Data Trust.
Yeah. And it's a company that was contracted, from my understanding, I may be wrong about this part of it, but it was a company that was contracted by the state of North Carolina to do an outreach to these seniors to try to get more seniors on the program so they could help more seniors in North Carolina. So these letters are going out to people who are, like I say, who are currently receiving Medicaid but is not on the nutrition services. So they're trying to get more seniors on the nutrition services, and it's kind of like just an outreach program for that.
All right, very good.
Yeah. So I wanted people to know that. So if you get those letters, it is okay to call. But if you have anything, you have any doubts about that, you can contact the Department of Social Services, and they can verify, whether it is a legitimate letter or not for that. So if you're on Medicaid through DSS, go ahead and contact them if you get a letter, and they can let you know whether it's legit or not.
Okay. One thing I do want to ask too: have you been, or your office been getting a lot of complaints about telemarketing calls coming from local?
No, but I've got complaints about it. I get them every day.
It looks like maybe a 361 cell phone number or an 837. And one lady posted on our Facebook page that she got one that said it was from WKRK at 837-4332. They were trying to sell her some kind of insurance policy. Right. So I had to let her know that we're not doing that. So she knew it was a scam call, but the phone, the way the phones are now, you can actually spoof numbers.
You can actually want any number you want to show up. What's happening too a lot of times is I've talked with a lady earlier this week who was getting a phone call from a Nashville, Tennessee area code number, text messaging, things of that nature, presenting themselves as Kenny Chesney, wanting them to do things and to send money. And I tried to convince her, he's a country music artist with millions of dollars. I don't think he needs you to buy him an Amazon card or needs you to buy him a phone card or anything that. If that really is Kenny Chesney, I think he can afford to buy his own Amazon card.
Probably so.
But yeah, you're right. They can spoof these numbers, and they can put in their basically whatever number they want to put in there. And I get them every day myself on my cell phone. As you know, my number's out there. It's available for people to send me messages or to call. So I get a lot of numbers that I don't recognize. People call them. And so, when I see those local 361s or 557s or 835s or 837 numbers that are coming in, or 321 numbers or 644 numbers, I automatically assume those are some local citizen that's needing some assistance. So if I'm available, I typically try to answer those calls. And I get several times a day, I get those. It's a spoof number that it's somebody trying to sell you something, or some telemarketer out there somewhere. And it's very aggravating, but it's hard to stop, because when you block the number, you're blocking the number they're using and not their actual real number. So, and then I don't want to block a 361 number when it's actually a real citizen's 361 number. So if they try to call me later, or the real citizen tries to call me, I don't want to have their number blocked where they can't call me. So
I do something with telemarketers now that the numbers I don't recognize, and it works pretty well for me. When I see a number I don't recognize, I just say, "Hello, you're on the air."
There you go.
They hang up.
There you go. Yeah, that's a good idea. So I've done that before. I've said, "Hello, you're on a crime scene."
You're on a crime scene.
So trace this number and tell subpoena them and all those kind of things.
That's great.
Yeah, they kind of hang up when you do that too. But yeah, it can get very aggravating at times, and trying to deal with all that. But unfortunately, there's not a whole lot that can be done about that. I actually, one day, I may have shared this before, I'm not sure, but a lady came by the sheriff's office, and she had a list of about 10 numbers of just random numbers around the United States. And she said these people keep calling her. It was an IRS scam. Kept calling her and harassing her, and she knows it's a scam, but she can't get them to quit calling her. And so we talked about that for a while, and then after she left, I was free the rest of the afternoon. So I just started calling these numbers, and I called the first number, and this guy answered and started questioned him about who he was and what he was doing and all this, and we just kind of, for lack of better terms, harassing him like he harassed other people, and finally till he got mad and hung up on me. So I went to the second number, which the first number is like a New York area code, the second number is like a Los Angeles area code. I call the second number, same guy answers, so we start this all over again. After about the third time of doing this, and every one of those numbers was going back to the same guy, all over the United States, and about the third or fourth time of doing this, he was like, "Why are you calling me? Why are you harassing me? Why are you doing these things?" And I finally told him, I said, "Listen, I have nothing else to do for the rest of the evening. So if you're going to call all my people in my county and harass them, I'm going to call you and harass you for the rest of the day."
Very good.
So I spent like 2.5 hours on the phone just calling him over and over and again, harassing him and trying to get him to understand, that not to be doing that to our citizens here in Cherokee County. And I never heard anything from her after that, so I don't know if he stopped calling her
Very
or
good.
what he did after that.
I know there's that do not call database, the registry that is, I think the FTC has that on their website, but it takes the people to be honest that are telemarketers to actually follow that list.
It does.
And
they call from so many different numbers and can reroute numbers and spoof numbers and all that honestly, it's almost impossible to block them.
I noticed when it first came into play, that do not call list, actually phone calls to my phone stopped, but now it's rampant once again.
And with cell phones changing numbers so much with cell phones, when you had home phones and hard lines, it was easier to block things. But now with cell towers and cell numbers and people changing numbers often and numbers becoming available and then now they're not available and becoming available again, it's so easy to switch numbers and change numbers around that it's hard to get those numbers blocked. And you can put them on a do not call registry, but like I say, some of these places that do this are not always honest and abide by that, and they'll call from a different number, and their excuse is, well, I didn't realize this was on a do not block, but really they do.
Right. Yeah. And one thing that they don't publish the like a phone book. They don't publish cell phone numbers in there, but they publish people's landlines. And the one thing I never understood is why you had to pay the phone company to be unlisted. Why your privacy had to be paid for.
Right.
But yeah, in the Yellow Pages, you had to pay for the advertising to be listed. So it seems like you would need to pay in the White Pages, but I've never understood that concept of having to pay to be unlisted.
It's kind of like a toll bridge when you have to pay to go on the bridge, you have to pay to get off the bridge. Right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, but it is very frustrating for a lot of people out there, and we get calls, like I say, almost on a daily basis about telemarketers and scams and different things that's going on. And a lot of these things are not even originated in the United States. They're originated overseas in foreign countries. And so when you have people, a lot of eBay scams, IRS scams, a lot of different things that's going on. So when you send people money or you give them information, more often than not, that money or that information goes overseas to a foreign country. And then it's outside the jurisdiction of even our federal government, the FBI or anybody else, because it's in another country now. So it's hard to really do anything about it or track those numbers down. It's very frustrating for a lot of people.
All right.
Yep.
Let's move on to our next topic.
The Vietnam Wall. Let's talk about it for just a minute.
That's going to be here soon.
That's going to be here next week, the 5th.
Next week.
Yeah. Oh, it is close, right?
Oh, wow.
just a few days away. Because today's the 29th, I believe.
It's hard to believe this month has passed by so quickly.
It has went by very quickly. But as if those of you out there know, the Vietnam Memorial Wall is coming to Cherokee County, and it will be set up between the Cherokee County Sheriff's Office and the park there at Roger Swanson's Patriot Park. It will be between those two places. As you drive by there's already a sign up. You can see where they've set a trailer up to speak from. The wall where the wall is going to be placed is paved, and it's got an area there that you can see where it's going to be. But on October 5th, the wall will actually be leaving the casino parking lot at 9:15. We will meet up there as you go up to the Valley River Casino. As you go up the hill, that gravel parking lot on the right is where we'll be staging with the wall. We'll be having a police escort with a parade, bring the wall over to the property there. But what we'll be doing is once that wall leaves there at 9:15.
That's on a Thursday.
October 5th, yeah. It'll be
right.
on a Thursday, I believe.
I was just looking at my schedule to make sure I'm not on the air that day because I'm planning on doing that Facebook Live with you.
So what we'll do is we'll leave there at 9:15. It will leave the casino parking lot. It will turn westbound on 74, going toward Murphy. It'll travel all the way down to the Peachtree intersection, there at where 64 East intersects, at the Peachtree intersection. Mm-hmm. It'll turn right at the Peachtree intersection coming into town.
Okay.
We'll come into town from there. When we get to the center of town, we will turn right going toward the Methodist Church down Valley River Avenue. We'll be going that way. It'll go past the Methodist Church, past the school, past the post office, to Conahita Park. We'll turn left at the Valley River Wellness Center there at the pool. Mm-hmm. We'll turn left there we'll go over the hill down to the Learning Center, turn right on Regal Street, go by the sheriff's office, down to the stop sign at Heritage Propane, turn left there going toward the Swanson property, and there we'll end up the Swanson property.
Now, how large is this thing as far as transporting this?
It's pretty good sized. It's pretty massive. I can't remember how many panels they said it was. It's several panels. It's I want to say like 10 or 15 panels that it takes to get all the names on.
Are they connected like a train would be connected, or are they all individual?
They will all be, from my understanding, all the wall itself will be on a truck. It'll be transported to the property where there it'll be set up.
Okay.
Once we get to the property, it will be set up there on the property. It will take about 3 hours to set it up on the property. It'll be available for viewing there on the October 5th, starting approximately lunchtime, about 12 o'clock. Once they get it set up there on the property, then it'll be available for viewing. People can come by and start looking at it. There'll be volunteers there to help people view the wall. On October 7th, 2 days after the wall is set up, then we will have a ceremony there at 1 o'clock. So that's the next event we need to make sure everybody understands is the October 7th at 1 o'clock is when we will have the ceremony for that.
October 7th?
October 7th. And actually on October 7th at 1 o'clock, then we were going to have a parachute team, a military parachute team is going to parachute in the American flag there on the property at the wall. There will be guest speakers there on the 7th. The speakers are going to be relegated to the military and to family members. Have people that are listed on the wall. And so people who's involved in the Vietnam War, family of the people that's on the wall will be speaking that day.
And that's on a Saturday.
That's October 7th at 1 o'clock.
All right.
And so on that same day, on October 7th, over at the Patriot Park, at 10:30 that morning is going to be a Veterans Appreciation Day. So it's separate than the wall. The Veterans Appreciation Day is separate than where the wall is. But over at the Patriot Park at 10:30 on October 7th, starting at 10:30 that morning, is when the Veterans Appreciation Day will be there. There will be music there. There'll be guest speakers, food, different things there on that property that day. Like I say, culminating with that 1 o'clock October 7th deal there at the wall itself, where there'll be speakers there. And just a reminder that October 9th is the last day of viewing. So if you want to view the wall, it needs to be between about lunchtime on October 5th and by the end of the day on October 9th.
Last day of viewing. I'm jotting down notes here as you talk. I'm probably going to make a photocopy of your notes. So, all right. Okay,
it's my understanding that the parachuting will be parachuting in at 1 o'clock on the 7th.
Parachuting, and that's at the ceremony.
That's going to be at the ceremony at 1 p.m. Originally, they was going to do an opening ceremony with that, but some of the speakers of the family that was involved with some of the names on the wall here from Cherokee County couldn't be here on the 5th. They could only be here on the 7th. So that's when they decided to do the ceremony on the 7th, so those speakers could be there and people that was involved in the wall could be there.
Very good.
And so we're looking forward to it. We're looking forward to the events that are going to be happening around there that day. So we just want to encourage everybody to come out and take part in that. Even if you don't have a family member that's on the wall, even if you wasn't involved in Vietnam, it is still a very educational thing, and it is very good for people to come out and take part in that. But I do want to remind people that if you come out to view the wall, that the wall will be guarded. We will have guards there at the wall, and it is a very special thing, and we expect people to be respectful. We expect people to come out, and they're welcome to come view the wall and those type of things. But it's put it in Cliff Note version that we all can understand. We ain't going to put up with no foolishness,
right?
Okay. So we want to be very respectful of the wall, and we'll be very respectful for that. But if any of the high school, elementary school, middle school age kids would like to come out and view that, just understand that it is very special, and it is very special to a lot of people. We need to be respectful while you're there viewing that.
All right. Let's see. And for folks who cannot make it out, we have people listening around the country. We're going to do some Facebook Live things, and we'll have the sheriff on Facebook Live. I'm sure you'll not be shy to talk to us on camera.
I'll see if I can muster something up.
You're such always at a loss for words.
Right.
It's like I'm pulling teeth just to get you to talk.
Yeah.
But I did. I bought this fancy little gadget a couple of months ago, and I finally this week at NQC figured out how to use it. It's the thing that holds my camera, my phone, and it's kind of like a selfie stick or a tripod.
Right.
I can. It has a gimbal like the drone has.
Right.
I can draw a square around your face, and it'll
Oh,
follow
okay.
you around, and it'll stabilize the video.
So we don't make people seasick, right?
Yes, the one I did with the veterans walking down through town
Right.
on that day, the 22 hump day. I was running, trying to get back to the front, and it was a very sea-sickening experience watching my camera work in action. So hopefully
Right.
this will help alleviate a little bit of that
Well,
by
good.
keeping a stabilized video. So fancy high-tech stuff.
Well, good. Like I say, we want everybody to come out and enjoy that. But if you can, if you're, like I say, if you're not in the area, but you'd like to see what's going on and those type of things, we'll try to do some of those Facebook Live things and get people aware of that. But I have heard, from talking to people around, that we are got people coming up from Georgia and from different places.
Oh,
coming to
wonderful.
this. So we expect there to be a lot of people come through in that October 5th through 9th period to view the wall. The county was asking me kind of from liability issues and buying insurance and all that kind of thing about how many people to expect. And I would really, honestly, on a low end, conservatively, would expect 3,000 to 5,000 people come through. We could have a tremendous amount of people, way more than that. But I do think we'll have at least 3,000 to 5,000 people come through. So like I say, come out and take part in that. Come over to the Veterans Appreciation Day there on the Swanson property. And like I say, we'll have speakers, food, music, different things going on over there. And one other thing I want to mention as far as way of events is that on October 28th at 6:30 is when we're doing our Running with the Law. And we do that every year. Our Stephanie Swanson, our Victims Advocate Director, puts that on and does a run and does different things there for that, for victims and domestic violence victims and things of that nature. So we'll be doing that again this year. It starts at the sheriff's office at 6:30. It will be the path that they will run will be escorted by law enforcement. It'll be the turnoffs and all that. We'll have roads blocked by patrol cars, and they wait for it to get a little bit dark. So the reason they do that, so the blue lights, be escorted through the blue lights and things of that nature. So
That's on what day?
that's October 28th at
October
6:30.
28th at
6:30 p.m.
That's a Saturday as
And
well.
my wife asked me last night, she said, are we going to do the Running with the Law? And I said, well, Mike could muster up Walking with the Law at that point. I don't know about Running with the Law. I think it's like a 5K, I think is what it is, or something. I don't even know what it is. It's some kind of K. I don't know what it is.
I know that I need to,
Yeah.
but if I can afford,
Well, last year I volunteered, and I think I probably will this year. Last year I volunteered to take my patrol car and lead it, So I think that's probably what I'll wind up doing.
I'll be
this
happy
year.
to ride with the law.
There you go, Ride with the
Okay.
Law. Right? We'll do that. We'll do. Me and you'll do Riding with the Law.
That
and
sounds
everybody
good.
else can run with the law. But yeah, our patrol guys and investigators last year, I know when they were running in it, they had like a little mini competition there at the sheriff's office, trying to see who could beat the other ones, and get back. And it was they did very well, and we have some very physically fit deputies there at the sheriff's office, but they were hurting when they got back. They were hurting, and
I've been threatening since the Hump 22 event to buy a official WKRK Segway that I can stand up and ride around, and for stability purposes of cameras, and
Right.
just to be a part of that way.
Yeah.
But I looked at the prices, and WKRK can't afford those.
Well, I have a Moultrie side by side, so we can mount it on it or something and drive it around.
All
if we wanna
right,
do that.
sounds like a plan.
One other thing I want to mention real quick. I know we're about to run out of time, but I had a couple messages this week and people asking me questions about the drug issues in Cherokee County and kind of what our plans was and what we were doing and things of that nature. One of the things that kind of concerned me was that we had at least one person, I think there was a couple people, that made a comment about that things were bad and only getting worse as far as drugs are concerned. And I just want to address that for just a minute to say that I personally, I don't think I would characterize it that way. We have made great strides and great progress in dealing with the drug issue in Cherokee County. And I know the person probably didn't mean it bad, didn't mean it that way, because they're just concerned about the drug issues that are going on. But we are making plans and different things on addressing drugs in a different way than we have in the past. One of the things that we have done is that we have contacted, and I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago, High on Hope Ministries. And like I say, the reason I say that I wouldn't say it that way, that things are worse and only getting, or bad and only getting worse, is the fact is that here in Cherokee County, we'll have the occasional overdose. We'll have maybe a couple a month, one a month, or sometimes two a month. And then it gets bad sometimes. Sometimes you may have 3 in a week or 5 in a week or whatever. But like this place where this High on Hope Ministries is, they're coming from a place where they're having 90 overdoses plus a week,
right?
And so they're coming from places where, it's nothing uncommon that you're having 100 people a week overdosing. And so, when I think about that, and I think about the area that we live in, even though that we see drugs and we see those issues that surround that, we still live in a great place.
Oh, yeah.
And we still have great people here, and we still live in a great community. And even though we do have problems, even though we do have issues, sometimes it's easy to focus in on, dwell in on just the negatives and just the bad things that you see. And one of the things that I had a conversation with the person about this week is you have these, I think you mentioned it last week, you have these Facebook pages pop up about, it's basically gossip pages, where people get on there and say whatever they want to say and however they want to feel and those kind of things. And I guess, we have a right to say what we want to say and the way we feel. But a lot of times on these pages, you never hear about the good things or the positive things that's happening. All you hear on is people complaining about the bad things they see and the bad things that are going on. And then that sparks a conversation with a lot of opinions and ideas, and a lot of which are not even correct, and they talk about law enforcement, they talk about the judicial system, they talk about things they see on the street and all that. And a lot of the information they put around is not even factual information. It's not even correct information. But sometimes it's easy to get wrapped up into that until you get this picture painted that everything is just negative and everything's bad. Right. So one of the things I want to mention is some things that we're doing. We talked about the High on Hope Ministries that are coming down. We are starting a 12-step recovery program through our detention center. We already have some programs. We already have some life skill classes and ministries, different things that we're already doing in the detention center. But we want to take this 12-step program, and it's based on kind of like Alcoholics Anonymous or Narcotics Anonymous program. It's kind of phased together. It is a Christian-based program, and it is voluntary only. Nobody's forced to take it, but anybody that wants to take it can take it. It's available. But what we've done is we've partnered with churches in our area and partnered with different people in our area that will be doing the program also. And so when we have inmates who are started this program and say they're only on the 3rd step, but they get released from jail, they make bond or they get sentenced or whatever, and they get released from jail, they have places within the community that they can go to and continue the program and pick up where they left off. And so we're going to try to start some of these programs to make those available to the people out there. They can continue recovery and continue these things. Some of the other partnership things that we have done is we have met with different leaders and different people within the community of providing basic needs assistance as far as places that people can get cleaned up and take showers and wash their clothes and get counseling and get life skill classes and those type of things. Is we're trying to develop places that we can offer that within the community. And we've got some, I don't want to talk about that too much because we've got options on the table and we've not really decided where those things are going to be at the moment. But we have several options here, especially around the Murphy area and some around the Andrews area, that we can make those available. And hopefully by winter, we will have some things in place to where we can have some day use centers and some different places that people can go to get the assistance and things they need. We already have churches that are doing meals. We already have Appalachian Counseling and different people that's doing those counseling classes and different things, but we need to pull our resources together into central locations to where when people who are in need and they need help and they need assistance getting off drugs, or they're homeless and they need some basic need help or whatever, that they have a central place that they can go to. Right. And this is the place where I go to get help. And in that place, we're trying to offer not just the basic needs and not just the counseling and not just those things, but also taking it a step further into basic life skill needs, whether it's how to apply for jobs, how to balance a checkbook, how to do your budgeting and basic needs things, and taking that even a step further into spiritual needs. So if you depending on your religion, what you believe in, have people available that can counsel you through that spiritual aspect and through those needs. So one of the things that we're trying to do, and not because we're against it, but it's something we've had a lot of conversations about, is we're trying to steer away from churches of doing this out of church. We may need to start with, we may need to get our feet off the ground, but we're trying to steer away from it because the reason being we want to be available to anybody that's in need. And we don't want it to be geared toward a Baptist thing or toward a Methodist thing or a Presbyterian thing or a Catholic thing. We're trying to do it for our community and for our public, to where people don't, if they have a religious preference or religious belief, they don't get hung up on the fact of that this is a certain denomination church that it's been held at. So we're taking all faiths and all religions into consideration on this, and trying to make sure that we have people available that can help counseling on that part for whatever religion they are. But we're trying to get into a central location away from churches to where people will come, where people will take advantage of the things that are out there in front of them. So we've got a lot of plans. We've been talking about a lot of things. We've been meeting about every 2 weeks about this. Hopefully in the next little bit, we'll have some locations and some different things that we can put out there. And we're actually even looking in now of doing some mobile trailers and some mobile things to where we can, with showers and cleaning supplies and those type of things, and that way we can utilize them even in the event of a disaster. If we have a tornado come through, we can take a trailer and set up emergency showers or emergency cleanings and those type of things. And so we got a lot of plans to try to address this issue, but unfortunately it takes some time to put together, it takes some time to do it. And we don't want to rush headlong into it. We want to make sure we do it the right way. Right. And that when we get it off the ground and going, that we'll be successful with it. So we just want to put that out there to everybody so they can kind of hear what we were doing. And anybody that wants any more details about what's going on or being more detailed about what we're doing, feel free to call me at the sheriff's office. I can put you in contact with other people in this group that can fill you in more about details on certain areas that you may be concerned in. But just know that we are looking at the drug issue and the homeless issue beyond law enforcement, beyond just arresting people and put them in jail. And I've said this before, and I'll say it again, I believe it with all my heart, is that, there are people that needs to be in jail. There's people who are dealing drugs and putting drugs on the street and ruining our children's lives that need to be incarcerated. But for the addict, for those that's addicted, just arresting people and putting them in jail is not the answer. We need to find alternative ways to try to help these people, and that's what we're trying to do. That's what we're trying to accomplish.
Like we've mentioned before, there's so many of those addicts that genuinely want help, but they don't know how to get it.
And that's one of the things with these programs that we're trying to develop is one of the things with these ministries that we're looking at is they have resources and contacts around the United States to where if someone comes today and says, I'm done, I need help right now, that these people have the resources and the contacts where we can get them somewhere today. What's happened in the past is with everything kind of being loose knit in different places and different people kind of doing their own thing, is it may take 3 days or it may take a week to get someone into rehab. Well, by the time that person's a week later, they may no longer want it at that point, or circumstances may have changed where they're not as willing. And so what we want to do is try to put these things into place to where people who are willing at the time they're willing and saying, I need help now, that we have the resources and things in place to give them the help now when they need it.
I'll never forget my second grade teacher Miss Jeannie Gaddis. She did a neat little presentation. She just held up a phone book and she asked the class, "What is this?" It was like, "This is a phone book." She goes, "Just remember that it's not important that you know every phone number in here. The important thing is that you know where to find it."
That's it.
And now we use Google, and
Right.
I think 2 or 3 of you out there may use Yahoo and Bing,
Yeah.
but Google is pretty much where to find things now.
Well, one thing, and like I say, we could have talked an hour about this just by itself, but one of the things about this too is when you think about rehab and you think about people that's wanting help and getting clean, there's a lot of issues involved around that makes it difficult for people to get clean, as far as where they're living, their family, their circumstances around their life, their friends, they have to kind of rid themselves of that and get that under control. Then when you talk about rehab centers, those things can get very expensive. They can get, and most people who are addicts or needing help can't afford that. They can't afford to go to rehab. So what we're looking at, along with this, putting these resources and stuff together, is also trying to develop scholarships and things of that nature, to where if you have someone out here who's an addict that is generally wanting help and trying to get clean but don't have resources, don't have money, that we have resources available that can at least get them started in a program, get them to a place where they can get that initial help. And even if you have to pay a few months on that rehab program, at least help them get to a place where they can get started and get going with that rehab. Helping them get jobs, helping them get gainful employment, to where they can start developing that process of getting clean, of getting back into society, giving them the self-worth, giving them the things that they need, the tools they need. Are we going to save everybody? No. There's going to be some people that's not going to take advantage of it, it's not going to do it, that they'll actually take advantage of us. But going back to what I've said before, even if we could just take a third or a quarter of the people who are addicted in Cherokee County and help them turn their life around and help them become productive citizens, what a great impact that would be on our county. And
that's going to trickle down and helping even more people by getting those people clean.
It will.
And I like the idea about the whole one-stop, the centralized location for the information, because I think you mentioned one show before, if there's all these places all over the county, and there's a homeless person or someone who is an addict who's just living $20 to $20, having to drive all over the place, they may not be able to go to all these different locations.
And that's it. When you think about this from even county transit, most people say, well, county transit, it don't take but $1 or $2, just a couple dollars, to ride the transit. But if you have someone who's homeless, has no income, and a couple dollars a day is a big deal.
Yeah.
Trying to get from one location to another. And a lot of people don't think about that in the aspect of $2. I don't have it.
Exactly.
How do I get on it if I don't have it? So those are all things that we're trying to talk about with the county, and transit, and looking at maybe doing vouchers for certain places, not the fact that they can get a voucher just to ride to Walmart when they want to, or to ride to, the theater or whatever. But we're talking about getting vouchers that'll say, if you're going to, say it's High on Hope Ministries, you got a voucher for that. If that's your destination, if that's where you're going, you will give you a voucher for that. You can get on the transit and ride a bus to there, And so we're looking at different options about that also, and just trying to work with the county and work with different leaders and different people to try to piece this together in such a way that it will work when we get it off the ground and get it running.
All right, sounds great.
Okay,
I appreciate it, Sheriff. Anything else before we close out?
No, I don't think so. I just appreciate the Bowberry biscuits. And I try to get here a little early because I know that Dawn will either have Bowberry biscuits or Helen will have a cake or something. So I try to get here a little bit early on Fridays so I can. I take my sugar medicine when I get up in the morning, and I say, well, I won't eat anything because I'll go to the radio station and get me something with sugar.
We have tons of sugar things here. Yes,
go.
That's good. All right, this is WKRK 105.5 FM, 1320 AM, cable TV channel 25, and worldwide. We're at country.am.